Hello.
Hello. Welcome,
Always say
everyone.
hello. There's nobody there.
We're
Hello.
just greeting the world. Hello.
We are greeting Monday. Anybody out on a Monday? On the interwebs? Anybody out?
Oh yeah, they're writing in comments.
Anybody
It's
out
too
there?
far away to read them.
What is that from Titanic?
I can't. I'm trying to read it, but I can't see. So, oh well.
Hi, everybody.
Hey, hope everybody had a wonderful. Well, probably not.
You made it to another
Yeah.
week. Is
What the sentiment
it
should
is.
be. We're here. We're still here.
Often people ask, "How are you doing?" And we're like, "Well, we made it to today. We made it to the place."
And
where
side
we
note,
are.
we're learning. And if you've read Cheryl Sandberg's book, Plan B, I think it is, Option B, maybe. I love how she writes that. Stop saying, "How are you doing?" when people are in crisis. Just say, "How are you doing today?" And
That's right.
that stands in this situation we're all in, and in general for people suffering. Say, "How are you today?"
How are you today? Well, we hope you're doing okay today, and things are changing rapidly, and so it's so powerful that I think people are seeking each other, seeking hope, seeking a reason to keep getting out of the bed in the morning, and it's more important than ever that we know what our calling is, what we are to do, especially as the people of hope, and that's you. If you're listening to this today, you have been given hope, not to keep it for yourself, but to be a conduit of it, to give it away. That's what we feel like our calling is. I think what's really interesting, even during this season, so many people, their jobs are shifting. They're taking on different and new responsibilities. You're now like a Waffle House chef / homeschool teacher / work from home guru / social media, Zoom call, dinner party organizer, whatever. Like, we're doing all these different things, but I think at the end of the day, the means have shifted, but the calling remains the same for all of us. And I think that's important to keep in perspective and keep in mind that we found that even when calling is redefined, the reality is that it's usually the same through line of the same calling that it's always been. And for us, that's been to lean into the hard stories, to find God in the midst of them, to share about it. And again, the medium's going to change a little bit. That's just life. And certainly in this time, a lot of the mediums are changing constantly. But the calling's the same.
Yeah, the key, in my opinion, is to learn to pivot.
Sure.
Pivot well and go with it. Who asked me that recently? Like, what do you think made you resilient or something? And, I wanted to really think that through how to answer. And obviously it's my faith and my family and my grounding and foundation, 100%. But I think all of that combined to equal an ability to pivot, an ability to go with what God's assigning to my story and not what He hasn't. And a lot of human problems would be very different, and a lot of people's mental health would be very different if they learn to go with what is instead of wishing for what is gone.
Right. And I think we talk about, suffering is not just some catastrophic issue, some devastating thing. It's really at its basic living a life that is different than you thought it would be. That space between our expectation of what our life will be and the reality of what it is. If that space is really a big gap, we will experience more pain and suffering and disenchantment and frustration. And so I think that's, at the end of the day, that's really the definition of suffering. And that's why for all of us, we've got to lean into this reality that we get to make a choice. We get to say, either I'm going to hold on to what I expect my life and my story to be, and I'm going to pine for that past or have fear about the future of it, or I'm going to pivot into what it is and find my calling now in this new season, dream new dreams about it. Learn to love it and cherish it even, and not feel cursed, but feel chosen.
Yeah. And what is so powerful that you have to do, so I guess there is a caveat, what you have to do is trust that what remains, what is in this, is good. And most of us don't have an understanding that stuff that looks like a wreckage could be good.
You talk for a minute. I got to get a charger.
Oh,
Difficulty.
he's grabbing a charger, so I'll just talk. Not a problem. We have to look at what is left and think like, okay, somehow God is never withholding the truly good things from me, and I know that. So there's got to be ultimately good stuff here. And true story, and if you've read Suffer Strong, you may know this story, that even when I was a little girl, I would line up my dolls like perfectly in my closet, and then I would make like speeches to them, like all about justice and Jesus and how they're going to take on the world, these empowered people to go and share and, embrace their calling. And so I kind of always knew that I would spend my life doing that. I had no idea what it looked like exactly, but I just kind of knew. Now, when I saw this, when I saw that, I should say, I thought like, okay, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I'll be on the stage sharing someday the things to be true about justice and Jesus and calling. I had no idea I would actually be doing those things, but from a wheelchair after a massive stroke. So that could have been, like, the day I had the stroke could have been the end of that deep calling on my life.
It was the beginning.
But it was actually the beginning. Yep. And that is true in all of our stories. What can look like the ending is actually a new beginning.
I love the idea, too, of, I think it's in John 1, that John was a witness to the light. He wasn't the light himself, but he was a witness to it. And I think so often, we feel this calling on our lives is to be the judge or to be the prosecutor, making this case, or we're supposed to be the defender because we've been wronged and now we have to sort of advocate. And the reality is, no, we're not any of those things. We're supposed to just be witnesses to the light in our life and in our story. And
I think that's John 1:18, I think.
Yeah. I think that call to be witnesses is for all of us. And I think that at the end of the day...
Not right now. Not lunchtime just yet. 1 minute.
At the end of the day, that's what we're all supposed to do. What does the light look like in your life? And how do you bear witness to it and tell the story of the light? And to that, in another 2 Corinthians 1 is another big verse that we look at in terms of calling. And that's Paul telling the Corinthians that you have been given comfort and hope so that you can give it away.
Right.
And we call it hoping it forward. And that in so doing, that people who need that comfort and hope will receive it, that they'll know the God of all hope and comfort because you were the conduit and you gave them that hope. Yeah. And so I think so often, maybe more now than ever, we have what we have and we feel the scarcity mentality of it. And that's a real feeling.
Yeah.
That's a real feeling to wonder if there's going to be enough in the future. And that plays into some of our deepest human insecurities and fears. And I think first we have to name those fears. What am I really afraid of? Am I afraid, fill in the blank? And if so, is that legitimate? And it can be, and we should grieve that and mourn that. But then we should say, but everything I have been given is what God is calling me from that place. Not from this place of emptiness, but from what He's already given me. That's what I'm now charged with to steward and to give away.
Right. Now I don't have. And I can't
exactly. I'm not having to conjure up some endless supply of something that I don't have the ability to do to give away.
Right.
God is calling us to take what He has given us already, that He will replenish and supply all of our needs, that He's calling us to give that away for the cause of the other, for the cause of the person who needs hope and comfort. And I think, so many technical difficulties, goodness gracious.
Okay.
But that basically that charge to hope it forward is what we have felt is a call in our lives. After the stroke, we realized a couple of years in, most folks who have the type of situation we had, catastrophic medical circumstance and upending of our life, they end up bankrupt, they end up broken marriages, they end up, huge health issues and despair.
A
and
lot of
we
broken
witnessed it.
relationships.
Yeah. And you look at the population of people with disabilities, which is the largest minority group in the world and in the U.S., and we see that those, unfortunately, in that group, our people group, are also the highest rates of unemployment, suicide, divorce, homelessness, depression. I mean,
Yeah.
just
All the bad
horrific
stuff.
things.
Yeah.
And so the reality is we realize, look, for some reason, God called us into this experience and this life. We have not been left in despair, but we've been left in hope. And so now what are we supposed to do with it? And who is the group and who are the people that will listen, that we can come alongside of? Because we've been given so much. We've had a community, we've had church, we've had family who came alongside us and lifted us up. Can we do that for somebody else?
Right.
And so maybe in this season we all get to think, what is it that we have been given? Not because we earned it or deserved it, but for some reason God has allowed it in our life. He's given us some things that we now in this season get to open our hands from a little bit and give away to people who are in desperate need right now. And I mean, you think about places, the U.S. is full of some horrible, scary, sad things. But you think about the rest of the world, our brothers and sisters in places like India, where, there's going to be people who are starving because they don't have access and they're locked away in their homes in this quarantine situation. And the caste system, it's not hard to go to different places around the world and just think, oh my gosh, just the human suffering right now is unbelievable. And how do we come alongside that in ways,
Right.
Again, not that or some way we have to manufacture, but that God's equipped us and given us some things that He's uniquely calling us to give away in this season. What does that look like? To hope it forward. That is the calling, I think, universally on the people of hope, is to hope it forward. Not
Absolutely.
just keep it for yourself, which is understandable. You've been through hard stuff. You want to feel comfortable.
You're going through hard stuff.
Yeah, you want to save up and store up and hoard up your toilet paper and your hand sanitizer.
Yeah.
Side note, we've been in Florida a month ago. I could not find hand sanitizer in 5 places. I haven't found hand sanitizer. Not even like the Whole Foods hand sanitizer.
None.
It doesn't kill anything. I can't find anything, okay? Please, if you're buying up all the hand sanitizer, just leave us just one. Just one hand sanitizer.
One hand sanitizer.
Okay, let's stop hoarding. Let's hope it forward with the hand sanitizer.
Right.
Okay.
One final note about that. Not the toilet paper. What is so cool about you recognizing that the way God has worked out your life, how God has assigned certain things in your story and not in your story, is you have the freedom to go after those people. Whatever you're dealt with, whatever you're dealing with, you get to go find that person and tell them they're getting out too and they're not alone. And, maybe that looks different than it did a few weeks ago. Maybe that does look like utilizing technology. But everybody can make someone else on earth feel less alone. And I think it's all of our charge to do that.
So good. Keep leaning in. Keep leaning in the calling.
One more time. If you know someone who needs a book, a Suffer Strong book right now, a signed copy of Suffer Strong, we're giving them free. Feel free to nominate someone or nominate yourself. If you really need this book, you can't afford it. We want to give it to you. Go to sufferstrong.com and put in your name, address, and we will mail you a copy of our book. And we don't have a ton to give you. I wish we could give everybody $1 million right now. But we do have this. And it's kind of a metaphor of what we're talking about today. We all got something. We all got something we can give and do, and let's go and do that.
And like you said, your story of overcoming is going to be somebody else's survival guide, and so this is our humble offering of a survival guide. And we pray it just feels like a new way of living and thinking in this upending of all of our lives, that we would find a way through the upside down kingdom because of it, and that is how we want to hope it forward. And again, if there's any other ways we can be practically praying for you or come alongside you. Look, we're open. We just feel called to come alongside folks who've been hurting. The mission of our organization, Hope Heals, is to give rest, resources, and relationships to people with broken brains, broken bodies, and broken hearts.
Yeah.
And probably that's all of us in some way or another.
Yeah.
At this point, our heart's been broken in ways, and certainly there's a lot of people on that spectrum. And so, how can we be about the resourcing and offering relationships and rest for the soul? And that's what we're going to do.
Yeah.
We're on the journey with you.
We'll see y'all tomorrow.
We got one more of these tomorrow, so join us for our last live. Hopefully we'll plug in our devices.
Yeah, and if you can, on Instagram, we know you can, you Facebook people, if you can't, well, actually it's on Facebook fan page as well, on their stories. In our stories is a free downloadable where you can take Habakkuk 3, 17 and 18 and fill it in. You should really do that if you haven't.
Right.
One more time, on our stories.
Or look at the last Instagram post.
Or look at the last Instagram or Facebook post, yes.
It's a little free template.
It's just a free template, but it would do your soul a lot of good to say, though things are really bad, I will rejoice in the Lord. Though, I can still rejoice in the Lord. I do have control over that because we know this much is true. We don't have control over hardly anything in this world, if we're honest.
Right.
But what we do have ultimate control over is how we respond to it, how we think about it, how we remember it, how we recognize that God is in it. So,
Amen.
We love you guys, and we will see you tomorrow. Bye. Oh, I always need to say this. I read every comment after. Obviously, I can't see during, but every comment, I've read everyone always.
We're reading you. Thanks for your encouragement.
Love you guys.
Bye-bye.
See ya. Bye.